So thank you everyone for coming to my presentation. I will talk about also my research proposal with the title Interactions of Diving Tourism and Fisheries in Marine Protected Areas, with a special focus on market values and alternative approaches to deter illegal fishing in the Maldives shark sanctuary. I'd like to thank my supervisors Dave, Abby, and Marit now, not officially yet, but soon, and also my external supervisor Mark Megan from the Australian Institute of Marine Science. So first of all, I would like to give you a small background on illegal fishing. Illegal fishing is conducted by national vessels when they're somehow not following the rules of a country, or by foreign vessels when they're entering waters and without the permission to do so. And causes of illegal fishing are quite numerous, let's say. I just put some of the main reasons here together, which is the overexploitation of fisheries resources, the overcapitalization of fishing fleets, and the lack of employment opportunities for fishermen. And all this causes a social and economic poverty of fishermen. So they're being pushed to use their capacities in ways that's most profitable for them. And in many cases, that can result in economic incentives to fish illegally. So those would be when the economic benefits are higher than the probability to be caught, the sanctions that they're going to face, and the effort of being detected. And then there is also some social incentives, which is their perception of the equity and legitimation of the fisheries regulations, their educational background, and also social pressure from the community around them. And this is quite complex, and I would say as complex as are the reasons, that complex are also the measures to actually fight illegal fishing. And I just put three main measures here, which is the enforcement of fisheries regulations, improving the socio-economic conditions of the communities, and integrating fisher communities more in the decision and management process. And before I start to really talk about what I will do during my PhD, I would like to tell you a short story about my background. I'm a marine biology and fisheries scientist, and in the last 2 years or 3 years, I've been working in the Galapagos Marine Reserve, and I've been going to 2 northern islands of the Galapagos in order to estimate the population status of the sharks over there. And it's so far that the park rangers usually don't go there, but I had to use the dive operators. And so we've been going there, and it's very beautiful. You see School of Hammerheads. It's like for everyone that likes sharks, it's like the mecca of shark diving over there. And then 2 years later, I came back to do something similar. And I found out that out of the 7 dive operators that were operating there, 4 actually stopped working in the area. And we came back, and it was literally like a city of lights of illegal fishermen in the area fishing for sharks illegally. A couple of them were caught, but after this, it somehow came to me, what if the presence of the dive operators actually have an influence on illegal fishing, and if they're somehow deterring illegal fishing activities in the area? So I decided to look more closely to that and did the literature research. And not surprisingly, I didn't find many studies about this topic, but surprisingly, I could find actually that there are a lot of actions in many different areas that actually can deter illegal fishing that dive operators are doing. And that goes from actively patrolling areas to setting marker buoys, monitoring illegal fishing activities, creating alternative sources of income by employing fishermen, investing in infrastructure and training, or even mediating between fishers and the authorities in order to reduce conflicts. So during my PhD, I want to determine the role of dive operators in deterring illegal fishing activities, and I will use the case study of the shark sanctuary in the Maldives. And I will split this into 3 parts. One is that I want to determine the market value of sharks for the shark diving industry in the Maldives. And I would like to investigate the behavior of dive operators and diving tourists towards illegal fishing. And I also want to investigate the effects of different actions from dive operators in order to improve fishers' compliance. So a short story about the study site. There's been traditional shark fisheries going on in the Maldives, not Galapagos, in the Maldives for decades, subsistence and also for the export of shark fins. And starting in the 70s, there was a growing conflict between a growing tourism sector that was mainly focused on also diving with the sharks. So we were both interested, shark fishers and divers, in the same resource, and that caused a conflict. So in '93, Anderson and Ahmed did a study in comparing the market value of the shark fishery and the shark watching. And I found out that the value of the shark watching industry was actually about double than the one from the shark fishery, and that one gray view shark was worth probably around 100 times more alive than when being caught as a fisheries resource. So that was very convincing to the government, and they started. They established the shark sanctuary in 2010. But still, there are some indications that there is illegal fishing going on until today. And this is probably the cause of about challenges of some typical mistakes that a lot of marine protected areas face, I think, which is a lack of the implementation of the ban and the trade of shark products. They didn't consult the stakeholders prior to the ban. They didn't create enough alternative livelihood options for shark fishers. And there's no regular monitoring or patrolling in the area. So when you look at the Maldives, they're southwest of India. It's an island nation of about 1,200 islands, but just 1% of these islands are land. So what you can see here are the different atolls, and the green areas are just actually shallow water, and the land masses you can't even see because it's very tiny islands. And they have about 151 dive operators in there, which are the red dots that you can see in here. So I'm planning to go to the field with the Australian Institute of Marine Science in May, June of this year, and visit 7 of these atolls. And the Australian Institute of Marine Science will deploy BRAF, so that's like underwater videos in order to see the population status of the sharks in these 7 atolls, and I will use the time to collect my data with surveys. So the first part wanted to look at the market value of the shark diving industry, and I will distribute questionnaires to dive tourists, probably using the Qualtrics platform, and then distributing them with tablets. I'm aiming at distribute about 400 questionnaires in total. And then I will calculate the business revenue of the shark diving industry using this formula. And then after this, I will want to see how this revenue actually distributes to the fisher community in the area through salaries, taxes, or by selling fish to restaurants, for example. And then compare this market value to studies that's been done before, like the one in '93. I won't go really through all of this, just wanted to show you all the different formulas, and in case that someone has a more detailed question about it later, I'm happy to explain that. Part 2 investigates the behavior of dive operators and dive tourists towards illegal fishing activities. And focusing now first on the tourists, I will make a non-market valuation where I will combine revealed behavior. So I will do a travel cost study, and the information will come from the questionnaire of the part 1. And then combining that with a stated preferences method, and by including contingent behavior questions. So those will be how does the number of dive trips that tourists are planning to do actually change contingent to illegal fishing activities, they observe a changing abundance of sharks, different initiatives of dive operators against illegal fishing. So those are the 3 questions that we have. And the resulting count data will analyze using Poisson or a negative binomial model, depending on the characteristics of the data that we have. And then looking at the dive operators, I chose to use a qualitative approach. So we'll do interviews with dive operators and literature and identify actions that dive operators actually do against illegal fishing, and identify what circumstances are most likely to motivate dive operators to address illegal fishing. And in part 3, I want to put all the information that I have from part 1 and part 2 together and put them into a Bayesian network model in order to see which initiatives, which are the first 4 blocks, let's say, have an effect on different levels of fishery compliance, the shark populations, and the dive operators' revenue. And then, why is all this actually important? I think to the Maldives is extremely important because sharks have quite a big impact on marine ecosystems. They're being overexploited worldwide because of their fins. And it was actually proven that missing shark populations have quite a big impact on the productivity of marine ecosystems, including coral reefs. And this is quite significant for the Maldives. And saying also that their tourism is based on nature and underwater activities. So missing shark populations have impacts on their environment, but also on the community and economy, with implications on food security and livelihood of the people. So there's actually a high need for effective measures against illegal fishing in the area. Thank you very much.